Today, we're chatting about something that I have seen from both sides of the buying table, and that is wholesale pitching. Okay. And this is a very hot topic, and it's something that I think every single one of you goes through phases of like, I've got this, and then also like, is this worth it? And how do I stand out? I know this because the last few years I've had countless conversations with clients and students doing audits on pitches and talking through the most common mistakes. So that is what we are going to chat about today. We're going to talk about the most common pitching mistakes that I have seen over my 20 years of buying, not to age myself here, but more importantly, how to fix them. And then I want you to stick around to the end because I'm also sharing the brand new wholesale pitch playbook that I created for you that is going to make pitching so much easier for you, whether you're pitching small retailers all the way up to major retailers. Okay. So I'm going to share that at the end. Real quick before we jump in, if you're pitching retailers but second guessing what to say, when to say it, or how to follow up without feeling like you're being totally annoying, you need the Buyerside Pitch Kit. It arms you with everything you need to confidently pitch all types of retailers, from independent boutiques to mid-size to big box stores, because yes, they all expect something a bit different and at different times. You're going to get the Buyerside Pitch Pal, which is your own AI pitch assistant trained by me, a seasoned corporate and independent retail buyer, to write your pitch and follow-up emails for you in your unique brand voice. Plus, you're going to get an entire kit of buyer-back strategies, perfectly timed pitch plans, and plug-and-play email templates that sound just like your brand, but maybe just a bit more polished and a bit more persuasive. You're also going to get 2 awesome bonuses, the follow-up formula and a pitch cadence calendar, so you can map out exactly what to send and when to send it and when to follow up. The brand new Buyerside Pitch Kit drops on January 16th, 2026. So you can grab it now for $20 off with the code BPK Earlybird. After that, it's still under $100 and an absolute game changer for your business. So just head to the link in the show notes or DM me Pitch Kit on Instagram at Kristen Fisher Coaching, and I will send over the link. Now let's get into the chat. So if you are new here, you might not know this. If you've been around for a while, you've heard me talk about it, but I was a corporate retail buyer for just about 20 years. And I used to get what felt like hundreds of pitches a week. I don't think that that's actually real, but it felt like that in some instances, or sometimes like when I was just really, really busy and I was just getting like ding, ding, ding in the inbox with these pitches, particularly around trade show season, like no surprise there, right? But it was just, there could be influxes of them that felt overwhelming, but I have gotten thousands of pitches throughout my career, right? And then later, I was a buyer for my own small business, my e-commerce gifting brand, Boku, that I closed down at the end of 2024 to go all in on Kristen Fisher Coaching. And I was running that for about 7 years, partially overlapping with my corporate career, and then all in 2021. So I've seen what it's like to get pitched as a major retailer, and also what it's like as a boutique small business owner that's like just trying to keep up and trying to find new fresh products without having the budget to be able to travel the world like I did and fortunately was able to do in my corporate role. So I've seen both sides. I've seen a lot of amazing pitches, okay? I've also seen a lot of pitches that are very clearly copy-paste templates. Not all bad, but there are some templates that are floating around out there. I'm not sure whose they are, where they've come from, but they're not edited or tweaked at all. And so it's like very clearly a template that everybody is using. And I've also seen like complete train wreck pitches where like my name is not correct, or the product that they're pitching to me is so clearly not the right fit, right? So I've seen all the bad things, I've seen good things, and I've also seen a lot of missed opportunities, right? And now when I'm coaching either one-on-one clients or we're doing audits in a group setting with students, I I'm seeing a lot of similar avoidable mistakes. And I'm also hearing a lot of questions of like, I know that I don't want to sound cookie cutter, but like, how do I make this different? Right. And so this definitely is not an episode where I'm going to be shaming you by any means. So please know that this is just to share information to help you improve your pitching and make it more worthwhile for you, because it takes a lot of time. Even if you are using platforms that are CRM platforms that make it so much easier for you, it still is a lot of time and investment to get it set up, B, tweak it, check it, and also make sure that you're researching the right buyers, right? It's a very big lift, but it's also really, really rewarding whenever it's done right and you get those conversions, okay? So that's what we're gonna really, really get into. The number one thing, I've already alluded to this, is those cookie cutter templates, okay? I don't know, so maybe you found it for free. Maybe you asked ChatGPT to just come up with a template for you, which I think is likely what's happening a lot now. Maybe 5 years ago, it was like you found something on Pinterest or Etsy. I don't know. But I want you to stop doing that, because buyers can spot it a mile away. Hi, I am this brand. I make candles that are hand poured with love and women owned, inspired by da 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 da. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you. And I'm totally, like, again, not knocking that, right? But it's not that it's bad. It's just also not what makes you stand out, right? And that's what you want. You want your email to stand out. You want to get them to open it with a really awesome subject line that's not like, hi, buy my candles. New candles for you. We don't want that. So you need a really good subject line. And then you don't want your copy to be cookie cutter. And I was going to actually combine, I'm just thinking out loud here. I was going to combine something, but I think I might make it mistake number 2 so I can speak to that more clearly. So I'm going to keep it the cookie cutter template, right? Buyers want it to sound unique. They want it to sound like an email written to them. There is a lot of art to personalizing and tailoring it, but in a way where you can do it in a repeatable fashion, okay? So what I want for you to think about is how you can tailor your templates that you get, because there's nothing wrong with templates, but you need to make them be in your brand voice. So you want to tailor that pitch, okay? You want to make it have your brand voice. You know, what makes your brand you? What is your voice as the founder, as the creative behind the brand? You want that to really come through and not sound like ChatGPT wrote it or you just copy pasted from a script, or both, right? So the thing that I was like, let me separate this out. So let's be not cookie cutter. Part 1. Part 2, mistake number 2 is making it all about you. And I know that this one's a little bit tough and takes a second to wrap your head around, because of course you have an amazing product. You have an amazing brand. You're amazing. You're proud of your story, and you should be. But pitching isn't really the time for you to kick it off with your whole origin story, or like in that example that I was just kind of rambling about, like the candles, hand poured, made with love, women owned, like everybody's writing that. And you don't want to start your pitch with that. You need to start your pitch with, why is it relevant to this buyer that you're emailing? Okay. You want to lead with what makes your product a no-brainer for their store specifically. You want to tell them why their customers are going to love it. Reference a trend that they're leaning into or that you're seeing out there that will be a good fit for their store. You want to get specific. You want to show that you've done your homework, makes them stand out, but you can do this in a way where you're not handwriting every single pitch to every single store, okay? You want to just think about, generally speaking, the types of retailers that you're emailing, what will land with them, and make it about them. Make it about their store first. Because at the very beginning of this pitch, when you have not even 10 seconds of their attention, the buyer doesn't need to know your origin story, like how you started your brand during COVID or during maternity leave, or you were inspired by yada, yada, yada. It's not that they don't care about that. They just don't care first, right? It's just, think about like when you're receiving emails from brands, like you want to hear about, okay, what's my What's the discount code? What's the selling point? What's in it for me? That's really what you want to be thinking about. So you really want to make sure that you're shifting the lens of the email, especially at the very beginning, at the very top. They open it up, you want to immediately draw them in and have them interested in why they are reading this email. You want to keep them focused on the email, okay? So you don't want to talk about why they're going to love your brand, but you want to tell them what makes it a win for their bottom line and for their customers. Then you can go into some more of that detail, okay? You want to make them the hero, not you, essentially, okay? So that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is whenever it's so wordy, when it's really, really wordy and there's no kind of structure to it. I think now a lot of brands are putting kind of the bullet points in there and really detailing it out. But there's a lot of fluff words. And I usually was scanning pitch emails, quite frankly. And I think most people are. You read that opening 1 to 2 sentences, and then you're like, just quickly show me what I need to see. And so thinking about how you can tighten up your sentences, no paragraphs for sure, keeping it really just tight and to the point, and not burying your CTA. Don't bury that call to action, right? Because if I have to scroll for more than 60 seconds to figure out like how to order from you or how to see your catalog or how to get to your fair page, wherever you're driving people to, that's not going to fly. The buyer does not have time for that. So you want to really get to the point, and you want to think about just how it can be skimmable with one really clear CTA. Okay. And maybe you have 2 CTAs. It could be sending samples, link to the catalog, whatever that you want that to be, right? But make sure it's very obvious and you're asking them directly what you want them to do. I know it seems obvious, but what do you want them to do? You don't want to just say, reply back, I'd love to hear from you. No. This is how you order. Click here. Right? Like this is the time to say, I want the sale. Okay. Mistake 4, which I think I might end on this one. Mistake number 4, this one just really kind of hurts my heart the most. It's the not following up, or maybe following up once. Raise your hand if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, but I don't want to be annoying. I don't want to drive them nuts. I don't want to spam their inbox. I know they're so busy. I don't care that they're busy. Actually, in fact, because they are busy is more reason why you should follow up with them, because you're missing opportunity there, majorly missing opportunity. I can't tell you, okay, like I said, okay, it felt like I was getting hundreds of pitches a day or a week. I wasn't, but I was getting a lot of pitches, and I was also getting, for sure, hundreds of emails a day from my cross-functional team partners, from vendors, from overseas manufacturers. Like I was getting so many emails a day that my inbox was flooded. And that email that you sent on Monday at 8 a.m., which, side note, don't ever send pitch emails on a Monday to a corporate buyer, was absolutely buried in my inbox. Buried. Okay. And maybe I'd see it if I had like a Sunday afternoon that I was trying to clean up my inbox, but chances are it was just lost. And you have to just make sure you're thinking about what's happening on the other end of that inbox, or like exchange, right? When you send it, the inbox that it's going to, that doesn't really make sense, but you know what I'm trying to say. Think about what they're going through on their end. There you go, Kristen, spit it out. They're busy. They forget. They might open your email while they're waiting for their latte, and then they get pulled into 10 meetings and totally forget. And so it's open and now it's not triggered as something they haven't seen. You need to email them to follow up. You're not annoying them. You're just reminding them. Consider it like, okay, it's not pushy, it's actually professional. So if you put that professional hat on, the follow-up is really critical. And there is an art to the follow-up, but you want to make sure that like within the week you're following up. And there's a very specific cadence to when to follow up, how to follow up. And it's a little bit different based on the different buyer types, but overall, you should be following up 3 times. And then if you don't hear from them at all, and you can see that they've opened the email but not responded, maybe they've opened it multiple times, that indicates there's interest, but they just maybe didn't have the budget for it. It wasn't the right time. They forgot again. There's an art to emailing them again and not having it look just like the same follow-up on the same thread. Okay. You just want to be consistent, and the cheesy line, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, is accurate. And it's important to think about, if you are laser focused and very crystal clear on who your ideal buyer types are, who those ideal retailers are, and where your brand is perfectly aligned, where it's a good market fit, then you don't need to be worried about following up, because they're not going to say, oh, I looked at this and it's totally not the right fit, which I have literally had that thought countless times when I've looked at a pitch and I've been like, why are they even wasting my time? This is about kids' backpacks, and I sell gift boxes for women. Like, what is happening, right? Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time by doing those pitches. So if you start with, I'm so aligned on who I'm pitching, I know my product is right, then keep doing it, right? I will say though, there is an energetic exchange. If you get to a certain point and you're like, I have been pitching this buyer for 2 years, they've never bothered responding. Okay, at a certain point, it's maybe now is not the right time for me to be getting into that store. Doesn't mean you're giving up. Maybe you're just saying, I'm not going to focus my energy there. I'm going to focus here instead. Maybe it isn't the right fit, even though I want my product to be in that store because I would love that to happen. Maybe it's not actually as good of a fit as I think it is. Like, take some accountability for why perhaps they're not responding. Look at how you're pitching, look at what, really truly look at it, because perhaps it's not actually a good fit. Sometimes they just don't have the money, or they just don't respond, or buyers change and like your email is just going into the abyss. At a certain point, you have to say, all right, now isn't the time to keep pitching this one retailer. I'm going to put my energy elsewhere. Okay. So I'm saying yes, follow up at least 3 times, and then you can follow up again 6 months later on a fresh email thread. But if 6 months later you're like, I'm kind of over them, then just, it's okay. Just don't email them. Sometimes things are a blessing in disguise. Okay. So I hope that that's helpful. I wanted to keep this a short and sweet episode so that I could really just kind of get through those top mistakes. And what I want to say is, a lot of these mistakes are the same, whether you're pitching small retailers or major retailers. It's a lot of consistent things. There are, though, nuances with time of year, what those subject lines look like, how you're structuring the email, your CTAs, right? There are nuances that come into play there that I think are really important to know and help you to just really maximize. It's like thinking about how you segment your emails for email marketing. It's kind of similar when it comes to wholesale pitching. You don't necessarily want to send the same pitch to every single buyer type, whether they're big, medium, small, or even their niche, right? Like, you could be pitching different types of buyer categories. For example, let's say, I don't know, I can't think of a good example of an exact product line. I was trying to come up with one on the fly, but the example would be gift shops versus garden stores versus art museum stores versus fill in the blanks of all the different types of boutiques out there. You could have slightly tweaked pitches for all those different types of retailers within your overarching niche, so that they're all a good fit for you, but they might have a slightly different pitch for that. So there's nuances with how you pitch, and the more you can kind of segment and get smarter about that, the more you're maximizing your time and the likelihood of getting that conversion. So if you are feeling like your head spins a little bit whenever you're listening to this, or if you're like, oh shit, I actually have done a lot of these things, or okay, I'm cool with pitching the small retailers, but I really have no idea how to pitch major retailers. That is exactly why I created the Wholesale Pitch Playbook. Been talking to so many of you guys for, I think it's literally been like 2 years now, of either people just straight up asking me for something like this, or the idea coming to me through conversations with clients and students. I just haven't had the time to do it, but now I do. And I'm so excited. It's really awesome. It is just about to roll out. And I promise you, it's going to change the way you pitch. It's going to give you a different mindset. It's going to give you the inside scoop to how to pitch to those different buyer types, different sizes, right? I think it's a resource that I really wish every brand had when they're really focusing on doing their own pitching. So the Wholesale Pitch Playbook gives you the exact, like the actual strategy backed by my experience as a buyer, but also seeing what's working for my clients because we're constantly tweaking, right? You still have to tweak things, but you do need to have a starting strategy and understand what you're working towards. Okay. So you're not going to have to keep thinking about what to say, when to say it, overthinking if you sound like you're desperate with the follow-up. No more copy pasting from old emails that just like never worked to begin with, right? We're actually going to optimize this. So here's what's inside the playbook. Okay. So there's a best practices guide. This isn't just like what to say. It is what to say, but it's also how to say it and when to say it, time of year, right? Like there's a seasonality aspect in terms of the product that you're actually pitching, but also just the busyness, right? The buyers are extra busy during certain periods of the year. So you're going to learn how to pitch and follow up without sounding like salesy or spammy, but also when to pitch so that your emails land in the buyer's inboxes in a timing that makes sense for them. And it's not to say that like it might land and they're really busy, but just generally speaking, there are times a year where buyers are busier than others. And it changes depending on the size of the retailer. It's not the same for everybody, which leads me to, you're going to know exactly when to pitch and you're going to get this full guide. So I'm going to have a calendar in there for you that tells you exactly when you're going to be pitching these things. So you're going to then get a bonus calendar that you can actually go through and map out your pitches based on everything that you learn throughout the playbook. And then you're also going to get a bonus 52 weeks of wholesale email marketing ideas for your actual email marketing so that you can kind of keep up that nurture for anybody that opts into your email list. And then you are also getting a full suite of plug and play email templates. So these are exact emails that you can copy and paste and then tweak. The key is tweaking. Make it sound like your brand. And so I would say it's like a done with you template. It's not just like a full copy paste, put your brand name in and send it. It's really how you can adjust it to make it really sound just like you and just like your brand and stand out. And if you are an AI person, there's an option to add on the Wholesale Pitch Writer bot that will take these templates and help you to just optimize them and make them sound like your brand voice right there. And it's going to really change the game for you to make it really fast, but not sound like it was written from ChatGPT. I've trained it myself. So if you've been like asking yourself, I don't know, what do I say? When do I pitch? How do I follow up? How do I pitch corporate retailers versus small retailers? And when am I sending the emails and all the things? This playbook is definitely your answer. So it's on pre-sale right now. It's over 20% off. It's just $77 with the code playbook. I'll put all this info below too, but it drops in your inbox on January 16th. So if you're listening to this live, it's 10 days away, 11 days away. If you're listening to it the day that this drops. So if you're listening to this after January 16th, it's going up to full price and it's not going to come back down anytime soon. So you can go ahead and grab it. I'm going to just drop the link below, but you can also, if you are on Instagram, you can DM me at Kristen Fisher Coaching, the word playbook, and I'll send you the direct link. So just to wrap this up, here's what I want you to remember, okay? You can pitch like a pro. You can pitch like a pro, okay? You can get your brand into your dream retailers. You can get your brand to those major retailers. You can also get them into your dream small and mid-sized retailers. You can have the most perfect stockist list that is available to you. But in order for that to happen, you have to stop treating your pitches just like a checkbox or like a numbers game, because it is a numbers game. But when you lump it all together and you're like, I just have to crank out these pitches, it doesn't do you any good. And it's actually just, I think, hurting more than anything. So I want you to be thoughtful, be strategic, and please God, follow up. please follow up. I want you to follow up. If that's one thing you take away from this, don't be afraid to follow up. Okay. So I hope that this episode was helpful. If you have a friend, another wholesale biz bestie that's stuck in this like pitch panic mode and needs to get off the hamster wheel with it, definitely send them this episode. And I'd also love to hear from you. I love whenever you guys DM me. So if something clicked for you inside this episode, or you want the playbook, just DM me the word playbook or click down below and you can grab access to that. And let's make your pitching so much stronger for you this year. It is your time. It's your year. Okay. I'll see you next time on the Buyerside Chat. Hey friend, quick question for you. Are you feeling stuck with how to get your brand to stand out on Fair? I'm asking you because as a buyer myself, I can tell you that there are just so many brands out there vying for the attention of these buyers, but I know that your brand has something so special and it needs to be seen. I put together a private podcast for you that goes deeper into what buyers are really looking for on the Fair platform and how you can stand out from the crowd to grow your wholesale business and really land those dream buyers. So if this resonates with you, head to the link in the show notes for instant access. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. If you are loving the show, I would be so beyond grateful if you would rate and review the podcast and share it with one of your biz besties to help spread the word. I hope that you absolutely crush your sales this week. I'll be back to chat with you next Monday.